Perfect. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, everyone. I wanted to start by saying I'm an electrical engineer, so please forgive me. I'm describing something very bio-related. I'm going to present today a bioactive glass, which is a hemostat. It is one technology that is being developed by one of the researchers here at TMU. So let's first start with what is it that we're looking at. We're looking at hemorrhages. So this is a discharge of blood from a ruptured blood vessel. Globally, hemorrhages is the leading cause of death and mortality in childbirth and surgery, as well as in war. In military situations, the mechanism of death is a mechanism of death that in most cases could have been prevented if there was an ability to stop that blood. What we need is something to accelerate the hemostasis. So that is the process of forming a blood clot at the actual injury point. The solution that we have, the technology that's been developed, is a patented mesoporous bioactive glass, MGB, which is nanometer size pores. This is a really small glass powder. It looks like a white powder when we produce it, but these are very small pieces of glass. The purpose here is from a physical perspective. The blood flows into the pores in and around the glass structure, and in conjunction with the chemical function that occurs, the release of the tantalum ions that are present in that glass accelerates clotting. The market advantage of this solution is that it achieves a homeostasis faster than commercial competitors. We have done lab testing. I'll touch on that a little bit later. We were able to clot, whereas competitors were not. It is, by its nature, in terms of it being a bioactive glass, it is antibacterial in its property. It is also biodegradable. It's suitable for both topical, but also for deep wounds. So this can be used, think of a Band-Aid application all the way through to in surgery and open heart surgery if you want to close a vessel. It doesn't have any side effects. Other clotting compounds can cause burns at the location where you're trying to form the clot. There's no allergic reactions with it that we're aware of or thrombosis that occurs at the site. It's also inexpensive. It can be produced with known manufacturing processes today, and it has a long shelf life. You can see a comparison here, the MBG versus organics and inorganic competitors. The real advantage here is that you can get the biodegradable aspect while also being radio opaque. So the benefit of that is that you can see where the clot is. If you were to go to put this person in an imaging system, you can actually see the location of the clot, unlike with organics. From a market overview perspective, the global hemostat market, the total addressable market is over 5 billion. The service addressable market is really just over 1 billion itself. Leading players in this space, the biggest player is BD, Medtronic, Baxter, Johnson & Johnson, and Pfizer all have similar or competitive products that don't necessarily rely on bioactive glass, but rely on another chemical process to form the clot. The market drivers for this is the growing geriatric population on blood thinners, the increase in postmortem hemorrhage rates that occur in hospitals, as well as hemorrhaging-required blood transfusions continue to rise. The application areas that we have in mind are fairly diverse. They can array from military applications or trauma to in-surgery applications. It can also be used for wound care, as well as over-the-counter wound care, and it can be used in dental applications as well. The core technology that we have is this bioactive glass that has been patented. We have a patent granted in the US as well as in Canada for this glass composition. We have done significant lab testing to validate the performance of the bioactive glass itself. You can see here, these are my only science slides, and these are the only slides with bio things in them. In the top, you can see this is a mouse tail cut model where you can see the performance of the clotting time versus the chemical composition, the amount of tantalum that's present in the glass. You can see from the first side where there's no treatment, it could take upwards of 15 minutes to form a clot, all the way with tantalum at the highest density that we had into the glass, which would take about 2 minutes on average. We have also done this testing as well in a pig liver experiment. This is something that would have to be required during the regulatory process. We did the hardest test that happens in that regulatory process, and we were able to clot within 5 minutes unlike the competitor product that we're evaluating against. The current status that we have is that we're ready for regulatory submission. We have both in Canada as well as in the US with Health Canada and FDA. We have provided pre-submissions to approve what our regulatory path will be, and we have received positive feedback on those. Both have approved the approach of what we're going to be doing. The next step will be to do a tox study with respect to the glass. This is something that's used in other adjacent applications, so we don't expect any issues with respect to that, but it still has to be a test that's done. We have a manufacturing partner lined up, MoSci. They're a bioactive glass manufacturer in the US that's able to produce these. We do need to do evaluations on that, but that is just one step going forward. And then the next major step would be the clinical trials. We have alignment with 4 hospitals in Alberta to help with this process. We are also, for the US perspective, we're also looking at what the reimbursement strategy would be, so that if we get through the regulatory process, what is it that we're actually going to be able to sell and how can we do that sale? That is a process that we're putting in place at the moment to understand how we can correlate what the reimbursement procedure would be like. At the moment, we're looking for a founding team for this. We have great researchers that are acting at the moment as the interim CEO, CMO. And then we have a pool of advisors as well that have been attached and have been a part of the development of the technology. These range from surgeons to other researchers. What we're looking for is an entrepreneur or individuals that could help us form that foundational team. And then we're seeking the investment side of things of targeting $3 million to get through the regulatory process. To date, we have, for this technology, have brought in about $2 million non-dilutively, and we need to continue that forward for the regulatory process. The use of funds is going to be evaluating the manufactured glass that we can get produced by MoSci, and then doing the full FDA as well as Health Canada applications to get it regulatory approved to sell. So my contact information is here. Happy to take any questions or have further discussions after this, if there's interest. Thanks, everyone.